Hello there everyone, and today we're back for another Siege Mandalore episode. In this episode we start to work more on the back with kind of the structure for the Technic and some plates, kind of a whole platform grid type thing. You'll see it later on in the video, and that's how we're going to build the kind of some of the hallways and the interior and some of the cool buildings. I'll try to explain a little bit more of that later on in the video, so yeah, let's get right into it. Here we go. Alright, so we're on the back side of the build. And you saw the hallways in the last episode, and then I kind of tried to explain how we were going to make the buildings on top. So you can see this weird kind of structured thing right here. This is like the first of the early stages of prototyping the design. So this would be built up like that, and that would go up a ways, and then the Technic piece would go on top of here, and that's where the plate would go on top of here, and there'd be a bunch of them for like a grid. It's hard to explain, but we're going to prototype a couple more and then hopefully try to get one grid done. So this is the first design. I like it if you look at it from far away, because we're trying to get that like weird rectangular like Mandalore, or some weird different shapes that you see in the TV show. So I mean, it's just supposed to be like a random build with some like translucent blue in there. From far away, I think it looks pretty good. Up close, not really too sure. So that was just kind of a quick one I threw together. So that's design one. Probably won't use it because I'm not a huge fan of it, and then we'll just kind of go through a couple more designs. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to record a couple. I don't always record like I usually just record the end result. I sometimes don't record like just the normal process. So this is just kind of the process where I build one thing real quick and then go through a bunch of different designs. So yeah, let's keep it going. Alright, so like I said earlier, I was doing a little test. My buddy came over and we started building a little bit more. I took this apart because I didn't like it, and we changed the plan a little bit. But like I said in my previous videos, a lot of times whenever we make a mock like this, the plans tend to change quite a lot, because we'll just be sitting there and we'll be talking, and then we'll say like, oh, that's a really good idea, or something. We'll like come up with another cool idea or a little bit more practical idea. So in this case, the plan was to have the kind of the top grid connected to the plates right here. I think we're going to change that, and this whole video is like this episode's going to be about kind of changing it. We're testing a bunch of stuff out, just kind of trial and error process as we build it. So I don't think the pillars are going to go on top of this like I explained in the last video, where the grids are up top and then the pillars here. Like, we're going to leave that blank for now. Couple options we might do with this is we might have another hallway, so like two hallways like this, but we're going to leave that how it is right now. Pretty much the new plan, because we were realizing we just weren't sure. I don't know, we just kind of sat there and thought about it, and we're like, I don't know if we really like it just hanging out kind of on the edge like this and being connected right to the hallway. So new plan, and you guys will see what that is in a little bit. Alright, so you saw a little bit of a time lapse there where we're kind of building this grid, and it'll be easier to show once we get it completed. But you saw the time lapse, at least some of it, where we completed this whole thing right here. So pretty much this is a hallway right here, and then this is kind of the interior, or kind of like where a building kind of thing would go. So like buildings with an interior building here, and then a hallway right there. And then you'll see once we get more of it done, but that'll go off to the side, and there'll be 6 16 by 16 plates when we get done with it, I believe. So it's hard to explain until we actually get it done, so we'll just keep on going on. But yeah, this is kind of what it looks like underneath. The rough kind of phase 1 design of it. So you can see kind of where we're going to put the Technic and where we put the Technic and stuff like that. So we're going to keep working on it because it's going to be hard to explain until we actually get most of it done. Alright, so here's the grid that we worked on, kind of the first stage. So I showed you just kind of the first three that were built, or two or three, and now we got this whole kind of section completed. So started off back there, so each of these, so like this would be a hallway, kind of like I explained earlier. This middle part would be a hallway, and there'd be like buildings with interiors right here on all the big kind of plates, and then like the longer ones will just be the hallway. And then yeah, these sides would be buildings with interiors, and they'll all kind of connect to each other, and maybe have some Mandalorians fighting in the middle. So I'll kind of explain at the end what we're going with here, because we're not really going to build full-on buildings. I kind of mentioned this in the very first episode. If we were try to do if we wanted to do full-on buildings at a minifig scale, it'd be crazy for how big the mock is and how much stuff we want to include. So here's a grid. Yeah, we won't be able to suspend it yet because we haven't built the support beams, but pretty much this will be kind of connected. It'll be connected in this area. So the big thing I just showed you, the big kind of Technic and plate grid there, will go so just above this hanger, or just above this door, kind of in line with those bricks, and it'll go like right here, and then we'll build the stuff on top of it. So, and then we'll have like some support beams. We're gonna try to hide them in there. We're not really too sure on. You're probably gonna be able to see them, but that's kind of the best we could do. Just because it needs to be supported, and there's no way to really there's ways, but we want to make it so it'll stay up during the convention and we're able to transport it. So yeah, so there'll be some support beams that'll be kind of cool, and then we'll still have these hallways down here. So yeah, that giant grid will be kind of put up right here. Also, as you can see, started to kind of fill this back area. So if you remember, you could see all the filler brick behind there, so we just took some extra 16 by 16 plates and covered up the side there. And I know it doesn't look super good and clean up close. I don't know how visible it's going to be during the actual convention. I'm gonna maybe add some stuff if we have time, maybe do some more designs like with some plates to make it just not so plain gray, but we could not afford to get a bunch of 2x4s or a bunch of different bricks to cover that whole entire wall. That would have been a lot of bricks. So this is the best option we have right now, and if we have time, I'll maybe go back and add some cool little patterns on there, but I don't know, I don't think it's going to be super visible at the convention. So it doesn't look too bad from far away. It's just kind of covering that spot up so it doesn't look, so you can't see the filler brick. And then we'll need to add some more plates kind of underneath, but that was the cheapest option that we could find. So yeah, it's kind of starting to come along a little bit, slowly. Alright, so there's the hallway, and then you see this kind of back area, and I'll kind of show you guys where that platform kind of structure is going. It's a little fragile at the moment, so I really hope it doesn't break. It's really fragile. Okay, so essentially, my hand might be in the way, but I have to hold it here because it's not quite finished yet. It's a little wobbly, so if the camera can kind of see it here, it'll be kind of placed. I mean, it'll be pretty much right here is where this will be. Right here, or it'll be scooched a little bit back, kind of like this. And then we'll build like some more hallways and cool building designs off of that. So yeah, that's where this would kind of go. General idea, somewhere in this area. Alright guys, so I've got the grid that I showed earlier, the kind of phase 1 of the grid, the prototype. We're trying to look for some different ways to make it a little more sturdy with the Technic. There's a bunch of Technic under here. So pretty much this is what a lot of the, if not most, if not all, like the buildings and hallways are going to go on. I discussed in the very first episode about how we're not really going to be able to do like full-scale like minifigure scale buildings and stuff like that, because the Mandalore buildings are very unique shapes and weird different shapes that physically might not work. It doesn't really translate into Lego all that much. I'm sure there's ways you could do it, and secondly, since we're doing so many stuff like the landing platform, the little door, the landing platform, doorway in the middle, all the lights and hallways, we're doing a lot of stuff that it's not really scaled, and if we had small buildings, it might look a little weird. if they're super small, and we can't really do them super big because like a financial thing, and like I said earlier, it's just gonna be kind of hard to do financially, and it'd just be massive if we did like a minifig scale type thing because we're doing so much other stuff with the mock. So we kind of designed this idea to kind of do the best of both. So pretty much what we got here is this is a pretty big grid. I should have counted how many studs, but essentially it's just 6 16 by 16 plates on this, and then some different plates in the middle. So right here is a hallway. So this is going to be like a tall hallway with like the glass there, some maybe blown out glass. Anyway, so imagine there's kind of a hallway right here. Some Mandos fighting through a broken glass. You know, they're like flying out and stuff. And then everywhere else, you see on the other side directly, it's not finished yet, but you'd have another one of these. So you'd have 2 hallways. We're thinking about making one hallway. Might be that one where it kind of like, it's a regular hallway, and then it kind of like broke. So it's like hanging down like off the side. We really want to do that. So we're probably going to do it with that back one if we can. So to make it look like it just kind of got blown off and detached on one side and like is starting to fall down. So we have the 2 hallways there, and then everything else. So what our idea is to do like a lot of interior stuff. So we're going to build like a bunch of walls, and we're going to try to get some of those cool shapes. It's going to be a lot of experimenting, and that'll be for kind of later episodes. We just wanted to get this done so we'd have something to actually build on, and an idea of how big it would be. So both of these sides here would be like some sort of like building structures with walls and glass that you see in Mandalore. And then we want to put lots of glass so you can see the interior, because that's where a lot of the figures are going to be placed. So you're going to have lots of kind of cool translucent, like you can see through, and it's suspended pretty high, and you'll be able to see through and look at all the figures and cool little details. So there'll be a lot of interior stuff, and then we'll kind of build the walls to fit in with the interior. So it's not really going to be full-scale buildings like I built in some of the other episodes. We just kind of decided to scrap that, and this might not sound as cool, but I guarantee you, I think it's still going to be really, really cool. It's going to focus a lot of interior and a lot of the figures in the battles, and then we're going to branch off and still make all these cool building shapes in here. I can't really say exactly what we're going to do just because it's a lot of trial and error process, and that's kind of the next step, is to start to kind of mess around on this and see what type of building structures we can create and what kind of cool interiors we can make. But up here is going to be a lot of trans blue if we can, and then a lot of see-through hallways and in the buildings, and some destroyed buildings, and some cool stuff like that. Maybe some buildings will be built up pretty high, so there'll be like 2 floors to it. It really just depends on how many bricks we have left, and we're just going to start prototyping and see what we can get. So that was a really long, I'm sorry about that, but I just wanted to kind of explain and say, like, they're not going to be full-sized buildings. If this is one of your first episodes you're watching, they're not going to be like full-scale Mandalore buildings, just because we really can't do that for a lot of the reasons I listed earlier. So it's going to be a lot of cool, maybe smaller buildings coming off on the side and going up maybe a level or 2, and then like these cool hallways and stuff like that. So I think you guys are still really going to like it. I just wanted to let you guys know that it's not going to be like these giant full-scale buildings, but it'll still be really cool. You guys are going to like it. So that'll kind of be maybe the next episode where we start to kind of we start to build a lot of the buildings, and that's kind of one of the last big things we have to tackle. So it's getting exciting, getting towards the end, kind of. I say that every episode. I don't know why I say that, because we still have a lot of work to do. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, any feedback or any cool ideas you guys have, I always really appreciate it when you guys put a couple comments down below and give me some cool ideas and some feedback, because that really helps with the build. So yeah, I'm just going to keep the outro short here. I really appreciate it if you made it to the end of the video and watched through the whole thing. So hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and may the force be with you always.